Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is How to Be a Good PC, Good PC Habits. Um, oh, that's why I've got my TV on. All right. So, hey, everybody. Let me just make sure that everybody is aligned because, of course, when you're doing this type of procedure, alignment is key. Although I don't believe in alignment, but hey. Okay, Christine, you're looking beautiful as always. Perfect. All right, Amy, you're looking cold as ice.
Ice, baby.
Aw, baby face. Frozen baby face. No, that sounds creepy. Okay,
No,
Jen,
thank you.
you're looking regal and studious. Like a real librarian.
Not for much longer.
Oh, congrats. Get that, chase that dollar. Robin, you are looking like a flower child. And we are live right now, so like people are hearing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then Kel, you are looking
Hi.
relaxed and on vacation.
I'm still on vacation in my head.
Well, good. It's cheaper to go on vacation in your head.
It is, but not quite as relaxing. It'd be nice if there, actually was that scene outside my window.
That's true. All right,
We'll
so
go with
hey,
this.
hey everybody, welcome. This is welcome back to Dork Tales. This is our fourth panel of the day. Fourth panel. What? Damn, this day's going by. This is Good PC Habits. I am the Dungeon Master for Dork Tales. My name's Kelly, and I am a long-time dungeon master, game master, storyteller, etc. And sometimes I even get to play. In this game, or this episode, in this panel, we're going to talk about how to be a better player and how to not make your dungeon master, game master, storyteller, etc. cry, and how to make their life better. So I have some. Are we getting loopy audio still? That might be you, Pat. Is there loopy audio? Oh, okay. Yeah, you have two tabs open. Okay, cool. Just checking there. I was like, Okay, so we are going to talk about that. But first, why don't we go ahead and introduce ourselves, starting with, let's go to that way with Christine.
Hello, I am Christine. Lovely to see you again.
Well, introduce yourself.
What should I say?
I don't
Tell
know.
who you are. What do you do?
Who you are, what do you
Long time
do,
no
why
see.
should they follow your channel?
I play Guild Wars.
Sure.
Go follow. It's fun. I talk about just about
First time
anything.
caller, long time listener.
You can get me on a topic from like history, and I will just never shut up. It's great.
True. Speaking on shutting up or not shutting up, can you turn your mic volume up just a tiny bit or move your mic just a little bit closer? You're a little quiet.
Okay, I will turn it up.
Sounds good. All right. Over in the corner, it is the frozen baby. Hello, Amy.
I don't like being called baby. I'm not baby.
Of course not. Someone put you in the corner.
You did.
Oh.
You set up the frames.
Well, no, you always go in the corner.
That's true. I always go in the corner.
Yeah.
That's all right. But yeah, I'm Amy again. I'm here once more, and yeah, I play a lot of tabletop games since I was 15. Kelly dragged me into my first proper tabletop RPG, so I have many years of player habits.
Some of them good.
Some good, some probably bad, some definitely bad. And yeah, we'll talk about that more in a little bit. That's
All
me.
right. Down in the other corner, we've got Jen.
Hey, I'm Jen. Back for another fun thing. Great time in Skillshot this morning, so that was good.
Yeah, that looked like a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. But yeah, I've been. Oh geez, I've been a player for a while.
A year or two at least.
But yeah, a year or two at least. About as long as I've known Kelly, which is also a while.
A year or two at least.
Yeah. Yeah, so good to have y'all here. It's going to be
Wow,
fun.
I was picking up my crunchies really loud. Okay.
I don't have any other like social media or anything, so I just
So I just
do
gave you Dork Tales.
stuff.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm double promoted on my own page. What do you know? Hello, Robin.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robin. I am newish to the whole TTRPG game. I said I started playing in May when my friend Hayden introduced me. Well, I've been listening to Dungeons and Dragons podcast for like 4 years, but then Hayden was like, "Hey, want to play?" I messaged Hayden because I saw that they were playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and I was like, "Hey, you're on the island. Do you want to
Do you want to play some D&D?
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be D&D.
So yeah, I'm a new player, so I am learning how to want to be a good PC and try not to make Kelly cry and Hayden cry and everyone that runs for me. So, I'm learning, but
You're learning.
Good
And finally, our other baby in the corner. Hi, Cal. Other Cal, who I put as far away from me as possible to make the Kels less confusing.
Yes, because that can't happen.
Well, we have another Kelly who's joining us tomorrow. Another.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Kelly from Super Hopped Up and Vancouver by Night is going to be there.
Oh, cool.
And
cool.
So I'm keeping us as far away as possible for confusion's sake.
man.
But hi, Kel. How's it going?
Okay, that's gonna be fun. Hi, it's going good. Happy Saturday, everybody. I'm Kel. You know me from up the road. As I say every time. But I've been playing D&D since it was a D&D. Yes, way back then.
You won Dungeons and Dragons, and it was advanced.
Yes, it was advanced. I'm excited. I'm happy to be playing 5e now. I like the system in comparison. Thankfully, don't have to calculate THACO anymore. And so I've been involved in RPGs, role playing for a little bit, and then started playing LARP when I came to the island and met y'all, and y'all just adopted me. So yeah, Rob and I've been in your position, so this is the best group to kind of be adopted by. So
we're pretty easy.
My new family on the island.
All right, guys. So we are going to jump right in, and we're going to talk about how to be a good PC. I'll get the ball rolling, but I've been talking a lot, so I'm going to let y'all take a lot of this, so keep the ball rolling. So I want to say the best way to be a good PC, in my mind, is to be engaged. Like, if I'm not seeing a ring on it, then no, I'm kidding. But be engaged in what's happening directly in front of you. Put your damn phone away unless you're using it. Shut your social media down. Nothing gets to me more than, as a DM, than when I have to turn and say, "It's your turn. What are you doing?" "Oh, what?" "Oh, yeah. What's happening?" "Thanks for participating in this group experience, member of the group." Oh, I get heated. So don't do that. Like if you're using it to keep if you're just losing track of things, like so many of us have ADD or other issues that create like a sensory block. But don't be on Twitter. Like, you don't need to be on Twitter.
Yeah, find ways to curb your ADD if you have ADD. And I take notes a lot, which helps me. So I might be typing, especially with the stream now, I might be typing while somebody else is going through stuff. But if I'm still paying attention, I'm still engaged.
All right. So what do you guys think? What are some other things that you can do to make the game better for your Dungeon Master? Which I guess is me in this case, so it's kind of weird, but okay.
Not entirely. I play other games.
I played with Mike as our DM a couple of times, and basically the way I make him not cry is bring him food. But that's probably a good thing too. I mean, make sure check in with your DM. Is your DM storyteller? How are they doing? They have the responsibility kind of for all of us, but we have that same responsibility. We should be checking in with our DM. Like, hey, how's it going? What do you need from us? Just ask them. What do you need from us this time? What do you need from me? How can I be a better PC? So have a discussion.
I think that's
open
the
to
main
discussion
thing
and
with
feedback.
Me, especially being new, I'm constantly texting Kelly being like, yo, again, might need to clarify this for me, but how is maybe a bit too much, but that's probably just my anxiety being like, is this okay? But
your anxiety also drives you to do things like send messages at midnight that are like, hey, game was really, really fun tonight. Thank you for putting all that effort in, which you wouldn't think you should do maybe, but do it.
Yes.
Do tell your
thank your DM.
Yeah.
Do tell them they're doing a good job. Because guess what? You just sat and played for 3 to 5 hours probably. They probably spent like 15 hours preparing for that.
Prepping.
Yep.
And you ruined their experience somehow. Trust me, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, they have a story going in their head, and you ruined all of it
Oh yeah,
by existing as a free-willed person.
exactly. Not their
Unfortunately.
NPCs. Their
Strahd.
NPCs were perfect, but
Yeah.
Yeah, NPCs don't count.
Yeah, I would have to say one of my biggest, the biggest habit that I try and get into is to lean into stuff. So you get a lot of people saying, say yes and, or to lean into things like improv techniques, where it's just don't just shut down your DM if they send you along a path. You're allowed to still do stuff, and you're allowed to still have your own reactions to whatnot, but don't just completely shut them down.
It's absolutely
Yeah,
true.
not the I shot you. Haha, no, you missed. Like, dude, no, you can't do that.
Be willing to get hurt is a good one. Like,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes,
emotionally and
be
physically.
willing to get hurt. Because 9 times out of 10, they don't actually want to kill you. But if they do, there might be a good reason. If you're not a good
Yeah, and
person,
sometimes
they
it's
might actually
something
kill
really
you.
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Just be
like,
willing to roll with stuff for the most
Yeah.
part.
So I'll tell you guys a
Trust your
story.
DM.
Sometimes it's for the plot. You need to drive the plot.
So I have a story about that. I was running a Vampire the Masquerade game like 15 years ago, like back in like first or second year of college, and I had a player who, this is to date the only player I've ever thrown out of a game. By the way, Jen knows the story already.
Yeah, it was a
and-
year or two ago, right?
It was a year or two ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was the only time I've ever thrown a player out of game. And what happened was the player was going away for 3 weeks. They were going on a trip to visit family in Hong Kong, I think. Like their parent worked in like aviation, so they got to travel all over the world for free. And so they had this vacation coming up, but it was a weekly game. And we were kind of reaching kind of a climax before things would start ramping up to the conclusion. So I ran a scene where they were being targeted by the city and hunted down. And like they knew this was their last episode for 3 weeks. There was, I said, I'll write you out when you get back, you'll resume playing, right? They got so bent out of shape that I was trying to put them in a position where I could incapacitate them for a few sessions. They had a screaming match with me across the table, swearing at me and saying, just do it, just kill my fucking character, just kill my fucking character. To the point where I was like,
Okay.
bro? No, I actually just said, like, if
Come
you're
at
gonna
me, bro?
you're not gonna talk to me like that in my house, get out. Like I don't care what happens to your character now. Like, I was writing him out for like 3 weeks. He was gonna come back just fine, but I don't know. He was unwilling to flex at all, and he ended up losing out on the rest of the game because he lost his mind. It's in the end, talk to your DM like a person. Don't yell at them.
I was
You
gonna
know?
say my biggest thing I think for being a good player character is remember that the DM is also a player. Like they are also your friend. Like
At least you hope so.
Should be your friend.
hope so. Hopefully.
If
Why are
they're
you
not,
there
if they're
if
not
they're
your
not?
friend, you have bigger problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go.
That they are in fact a person and they are also wanting to play and have fun and and be part of the experience as well, not just run it for people. They want to be a part of it too. So I think that's treat your DM like a person.
Yes.
Food is a good one, by the way. Bringing
Feed your DM.
tithe and food.
Or also just show up, like, eat before game. Like, don't game hungry.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. And eat
a little bit of
actual
self-care.
food. So one of the worst things you can do is show up at a game and have a sugar crash in the middle of it. So like eat some vegetables if you if unless you have like an allergy, like bring some light, not noisy or stinky snacks with you. Like you can bring chips, but eat some nuts or something too if you can eat, unless you have an allergy. Like eat some like carrot sticks, something that's not going to cause you to spike and crash.
Filling.
Yeah.
And if you're if you're playing remotely like this, there's this handy function. You can mute yourself and you can eat. You can have a snack if you need it.
Yeah.
Like,
I was literally just doing that because that was my breakfast for the day you just watched. That I forgot.
And also,
Which I was gonna say, you might want to move that away from the mic because it was just crinkle, crinkle, crinkle.
Oh, was it?
crinkle,
Damn,
crinkle,
I thought I'm okay.
crinkle.
Must
You
have
were
been
right in
out.
front of the mic.
well, you know, it just
Yeah,
you
we've
know.
all done that.
Sorry.
but also,
sorry.
Yeah, it's your channel.
yeah.
Yes.
You
But
can
also
always call me.
about health, you know, if you have health issues, like a couple of us do, I do, tell your DM, you know, your DM needs to know these things about you, because if something's happening and you have to go take care of something, you're like, yeah, you can. I mean, we don't necessarily want to be off screen while game is going for whatever reason, but sometimes stuff happens and you got to be able to say, you know, like, look, I'm having an issue, I got to go take care of this, I'll be back. Or, you know, at least so that they know what's going on with you. You got to be open.
And like,
that actually
you don't even have to get into specifics, though. Like,
Yeah.
you can just be like, I've got a medical issue. I might need to get up and leave partway through game.
Yep.
I'm just gonna do it.
that brings up another really good habit that not everyone follows, and that's if you're not feeling well one day, maybe warn your DM.
Yes.
I try to give like at least 6 hours of warning to Kelly because I'm like, hey, not feeling great. Hopefully we'll perk up by game time, but just so you know.
Yeah.
Communicate.
Communication is really key.
Communication.
We have someone in the chat, Pat66 is talking about how group orders a pizza. I mean, yeah, if that's something that your group wants to do, that's great. I would say the DM probably pays a little less out of that.
I'd agree.
Like,
They're essentially running an experience for you to enjoy.
yeah, they're the host. They get a free round, maybe. You can also do potlucks. We used to do that for certain games. You can also use food to enhance role playing, but that's another topic. But like, have like everybody brings something over, like, or someone cooks something, or everybody, like, if you show up, you bring a 12-pack of pop, beer, whatever. You know, you bring some beer over, you bring some stuff over. The DM can contribute if they want, especially like. We started playing a lot when we were in college, and that meant, or university in Canada, because there's a difference here. It's weird. It's people are broke, right? So you do what you can, help each other out. Find cheap ways to survive and help each other have a good time. Help the DM pay for printing costs if you're doing printed sheets, or
Yes.
learn your rules.
Yeah.
Because I'm running an entire
Biggest.
world, I don't have time to know what the save on your fireball spell is. You don't have to know anybody else's rules. You just have to know your characters.
Or at the very least, be able to look it up really quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, be prepared. The DM's doing a shit ton of preparing. Play as a player, you can have a bit of preparedness for yourself as well.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the easiest ways, honestly, like, if you haven't paid for a PDF and haven't had time to write it down, most of us have cameras on our phones. Take a picture, create an album, label it this D&D game.
So long as you're using
There's
it
all
in
your rules.
and that's you know, you're using it inside of a game where this already exists. Also, most of it's open source. You can find most of it online. You can pull it up on your phone, you can pull it up on your computer, and you can print it off if you want a hard copy and don't have the if you have like sticky fingers or problems not turning on social media, then use hard copy. Back before the internet, you bring your books and dice along with your character sheet. Bring dice.
Bring dice.
Don't
Be
expect
prepared.
your DM to
Forget
loan you
your
dice.
In general, be prepared.
Don't touch
That
other
shouldn't be a
people's
problem
dice.
for us. We have,
Oh,
we have
yeah.
lots of dice. Oh, yeah, don't touch their dice.
Don't touch other people's dice. If you don't play role-playing games, you might not get this, but don't touch their dice. Don't do it.
Unless they
Unless
are
they
directly offered.
Yes, exactly.
If it falls on the floor, if they can reach it, let them pick it up. It's not your dice. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
People get a little territorial.
Or superstitious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Or
Yeah,
you
don't
get
touch
that,
Amy's dice.
You get
Yeah,
that
Amy, you're not allowed
situation.
to touch my dice ever.
I had another
Nobody
player that I
touches Amy's dice.
I have
I'll
rolled
touch.
your dice. I have rolled Kelly's dice. They rolled
will touch
terribly
your
for me.
dice for you
and
if
they
you
were
want.
perfectly fine for you. I'm pretty sure you rolled my dice before and rolled nat 20s. Like, it's me. It's not the dice.
Actually, Sylvester Slays in the chat makes cheat sheets for a cyberpunk game, and they are fantastically useful. So
gosh,
help the
yes.
DM by doing it. Like, if you have a skill that benefits the DM. Okay, let me just do this right now. Amy, I have gone to repeatedly for linguistic matters where I am like, how would I conjugate the Sumerian back with a harder glottal stop? because I keep mixing up K's and G's. Which one is there? Christine, I go to and say, hey, I'm not as well versed on British history. If I wanted to have a more imperial style character, what would be the term of address I would use? Kel, I need to know something about knitting for some reason, or I would like it if you could knit
Or serial killers, you know.
Or serial killer. Yeah.
Knit me a serial killer.
We can do serial killer talk. Robin, I need to know something about brewing because we're playing this. Or Jen, can you please index all of Scion for me so that it makes sense? Because that book was written in a very strange way.
I didn't, hyper focus for 9 hours. Now twice for 2 different Scion games.
But it works. It worked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But use your players. All of your players have individual skills that can help you out. And if you're a player, be willing to do this. Also, be willing to do stuff when your DM asks for game. Like if they give you adequate notice. If they give you if game is in a week and they say, hey, we're going to your character's hometown. Can you give me some details about this town? It doesn't have to be, it can be point form. Give me the things that you're willing to be flexible on. Give me the things you're not willing to be flexible on. And give me a couple of basic bullshit ideas. It's a small town. There's only one gas station. There's a drive-through church. How does that work? I don't care. It's just there. It's in my notes. Run a drive-through church. We had drive-through liquor stores where I grew up. Think about that one. If you're in America, that's not as big of a deal. If you're in Canada, that's a very strange thing.
Although in Saskatchewan, they have the liquor store and the driver's license renewal place in the same building.
Well, that makes sense.
Celebrate.
Yeah, see, I think drive-through liquor would not work in Canada because you're not actually allowed to have bottles of liquor in the main area where you are.
It has to be in the trunk, right?
It has to be in the trunk.
Two steps away, yeah.
I am very fortunate that Michael from Sylvester Slays does all of our graphic design for us as a favor. It is wonderful stuff. He's also really flexible when I change ideas and stuff. And he's also been doing things like opening sequences for broadcast, which you probably won't be broadcasting a game. I could not recommend that to everyone because it's high pressure when people start noticing you. I will put that out there. But then you get to run cool events like this. But, I have friends I'll call people out, like Froghemoth Legs in the chat, is on our Discord and has done quite a bit of character art and little details. Cool. And he's really good at particularly jewelry and items. He's very good at that. Soul Omen, I don't know if Soul Omen's there, but Soul Omen also is in our Discord chat and makes a lot of really creepy monsters in her 3D modeling programs. Crimson Arc Cosplay in there. What is Jacob saying? Do you have any news? Notice me, senpai? What? I'm noticing you.
Notice me, senpai.
I noticed you. He's a cook. So when we did our 25-hour role-playing marathons for Extra Life, he would bring food. And he would bring enough food for a couple of shifts worth of food. Mm-hmm. And it was food with nutrition in it, not just,
real food.
Not just calories.
Just takeout.
Yeah. Not just munching
healthy.
Yeah. So do that. Provide details for your character or for your DM. Character images are great. Find a character that looks like your character and send it over, or go to a place like Artbreeder, artbreeder.com. Use it. It's free. Or this
that's my new favorite now.
This person does not exist if you're using a modern day character. These are free to use. You can even publish them because these are millions of photos crammed together, so they're now open source. Use them. Artbreeder.
Very cool.
Oh, okay. Cool. But yeah, what else can you do to be a better player? That's what my character would do is something you should never say.
No.
I will fight you on that.
Yeah.
Why is that bad, guys?
Because you don't really know. It's a cop out. It's not a good reason.
It's
also
most likely
railroads
justifying something bad too. It's probably something that's not enhancing gameplay.
I robbed the orphans. Why would you do that? What's what my character would do?
Wait, would
Why?
I really?
No. Give us there's got to be more than that.
If you're going to justify.
Well, I'm a rogue. It's what my character would do. But you're a chaotic good rogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those
Are you
orphans
robbing
look like
orphans?
jerks.
Like, come up with a real reason. Like,
Yeah.
I want to. Can be a reason.
It can be, absolutely.
But don't
Yes.
cop out by saying, oh, well, my character would do that. Because,
That means I didn't think about it far enough.
Yeah.
yeah, or you're trying
got
to do
carried
something that
away.
you know is bad and shouldn't be done. Or
Yeah.
you know it is going to be a problem for the game. Like, you're going to derail.
Yeah.
You're just stirring up the shit.
If-
Just
if-
to be
Yeah.
a shit disturber. Yeah.
And
I mean,
to
That's
and
not
to
to
get
say
the
that
spotlight, right?
Yeah.
It's not to say that, like, oh, I feel like my character would do more blah and run with that. Like, you can be like, okay, well, I think MacLeod would have no problem with this, but it's a disgusting scene. Maybe I should roll con to see if I can hold my, like, stomach contents and, like,
Yes.
sort of thing. Like, you can suggest stuff that way of, like, hey, I think MacLeod, or I think Callie, or Claudette, or whoever would be able to handle this, or I think they'd be inclined towards this, as kind of like a way to get your DM's opinion, get your other players' opinion.
Yeah, sort of
Yeah.
check base with people.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah,
check base
because
with that.
often your players have a perception. Your co-players have a perception of your character. So checking in with them is a great way to find out, how is your character being perceived? Is the character you're playing in your head coming across and coming through to your
Your
co-players?
Party. Yeah.
Because
Yeah, coming to your
oftentimes
party.
the way you see your character is not how everyone else sees them. And it might be surprising how very dramatically different those two characters can be.
Yeah, you think you're a hero and you're actually an asshole, right? That
Yeah.
type of thing. Or maybe you think you're an asshole and people actually love you. I think it's particularly weird if you stream your games, because then you get all sorts of fan reaction. You're like,
Yeah.
like the
that's
first
the
character
weirdest.
that had art, the first fan art we ever got was of Tia.
Yeah.
Like, and that was when you were like, I don't know if I like Tia. I don't know if I feel her.
if anyone likes her.
And like, you
Everybody
literally have
loves
fan art.
Tia. Yeah.
Like, shut up.
Tia's awesome.
And that's not like, it's not to say that chaos isn't good. If your character
Oh yeah.
would go off and do something kind of ridiculous or seemingly random, but you have good reason behind it, then that's fine, and that's getting your DM to just kind of think on their feet, which is also fun.
Oh, that's
Like,
true.
does it make it more interesting, or is it like
Is it
knowing?
selfish? Is it
when-
selfish? Is it going to help the
Yes.
experience, or is
Yeah.
it just you wanting to
Mhm.
do something
Does
for
it drive
yourself?
the narrative at all?
Is it that would be hilarious, let's fuck the game over sort of moment?
Yeah.
Or is it, oh, this is gonna be dramatic as hell, and yeah, I would totally do this because XYZ.
Don't try to ruin anyone's time is a good one. Because
Don't
like,
be a dick.
don't be a dick. Like,
be
unless
a
the
dick.
game is designed for that. Like, if you're playing like,
Like, if
Yeah.
it's supposed to be a cooperative game, don't be the thief who goes around and robs your party members.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
unless you guys
they
agree
all
out of
know.
character.
Like,
Yeah, unless you
yeah.
read out of character and you think that's interesting
Yeah,
and
see-
entertaining.
See, in a game I was in, my rogue spy character was willingly handed all of the party's money to keep track of. So I kept
And it's
track
just
of
like-
it.
I mean,
I had-
the top for me.
I personally had 80 mithril by the end of game, which was a lot of money. Most of the other player characters had died by that point and new ones came in, so the party money just became mine.
Yeah, that's life insurance. Suck it.
Amazing.
Sucks to suck, guys.
But like that's more that
It's
works
looting your
versus say like
teammates.
somebody going and looting your pockets while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Because you as a player freaking know that person did it.
Yeah.
Like, you know they did it, and it's going to color your interaction, especially if you're pissed off about it. Because that's just not fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
leave stuff
Yeah.
at the door. Like, leave stuff at the door and communicate with each other, guys. Like, if you're not having fun in a game, talk with
Yeah.
your friends one-on-one, privately, through message, send them an email, whatever you need to do to figure out why you're not having fun. Don't just like up and quit and not show up one day because you're sick of it because it's gone too far and it was like probably something small that could have been resolved like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Amy.
Well, I'm just thinking like knowing when to cede the spotlight to other people. And that can take some practice and a lot of communication and getting to know your other players, but sometimes it's hard to tell. You get carried away, caught up in what you're doing, but learning to step back and give it to somebody else and then sit back and let someone else have the spotlight for a while and know that it'll be your turn again. Like, you'll get your turn again.
Trust your DM to share the spotlight with you. But yeah, Jen?
And trust the other players.
Yeah, not only that, don't be afraid to take your moment in the spotlight.
That is also really, really true. That's
True.
really, really true.
Yeah.
Chef Outlaw Death had a question in the chat of, is there a common behavior that's toxic but often unnoticed by players, like unintentional but destructive?
There are quite a few.
And personally, the one that I'm first thought of is, it ties in with the spotlight thing of when it's clearly somebody else's turn and the DM is narrating their turn and the players are not in the same room, or the characters aren't in the same room.
Teleportation.
You can offer suggestions. Like, if they pause and kind of go, you could offer, hey, maybe your character would do blah, but then back off.
Yeah.
Don't say, oh, I'll roll that insight too. You are not fucking there.
You're not there.
So
Chill out. Let the person have their moment in the spotlight.
The brick wall.
Like,
you need.
they did that role. You don't need to participate as well. Like, if they horribly fail it, maybe try and figure out another way that your character would decide to make that roll too. But don't just be like, oh, they did that roll, I'm doing that too.
Don't just hop on the perception
stealing
train.
their spotlight now.
Yeah.
You are taking their thunder, and people don't always notice when it's happening. They just get frustrated.
Yeah.
So no teleportation. First of all, that is a big problem with newer players, where they're like, "Oh, I look too." It's like, you are on the other side of the city, my friend. You are not in this. Were you not paying attention? And it's sometimes
Not
it's
even
just
in the car.
sometimes the player's just getting excited, or there's two people and they both make a perception roll, and one of them, you go to one of them and say, like, you notice that there's a fine line on the brickwork. You believe it's a secret door, and the other player goes, I open it, and you're like, you didn't freaking see it, so you walk out the front door and fall down the stairs, I guess. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like how
You
you
have to
control
know
that,
what
Kelly,
you don't know.
because you always give the lowest rolls info first, and you work up
Yes.
to the highest roll.
yes.
It's a really good way to do
So
it. Yeah.
nobody
I like
else
it.
necessarily knows what the highest roll is seen until the end. when
Yeah,
they
I like
get
to
it.
try to do like a macro, like we slowly zoom out to the real picture on that. Also, DMs, if you are running something and your players do not get anything on their perception roll, there are two things that you should be willing to do. Number one, if they fail a perception roll and there is something there, provide them with a clue anyway. It doesn't have to be the clue that they need, but it can be a clue related to them, such as maybe there's a hidden hole in the wall that has a bunch of things. Mention some rat droppings so they start checking around the floorboards and the walls for a crack. Okay, lead them a little bit. If they don't botch, you can always give them something like, oh, you noticed the floor
them a
is slightly
breadcrumb.
slanted. Like, yeah, give them breadcrumb, or at least give them some flavor, so they never just say nothing happens. That's the most boring thing ever. You're just shutting them down and making them feel
Yeah, I
like
was
they
gonna say
wasted their...
the slamming the door is the kind of like one of the worst kind of things that kills and takes the immersion out of that.
Kills
too.
the momentum, yeah. And it makes you want to just roll more dice, which the game's not about rolling as many dice as you can. It's about having fun and communicating a story. The other one is, if a player is looking around a scene for a clue or something like that, and this is like, they've been doing it for like a half hour, and there's nothing else there. Communicate with your players directly and say, after giving it a little more time to look around, you really don't think there's anything here. But actually, make sure they know that the wink means you're being serious out of character and not, there's nothing here.
Nothing there.
Keep trying. Yeah. I will say that sometimes if everybody fails a roll, it's like, well, I guess you don't find anything. If that's done well, it can be okay. It's just more of a like, okay, moving on. And then sometimes the players are like, well, shit, like something bad's gonna happen. But actually that leads me to another point that I wanted to make, which is bringing in out of character knowledge. Don't do it.
And it can be hard sometimes. Like, it
Yeah.
can really
Sometimes you do it by accident, and you're
It's
like,
true.
shit, I redact what I just said. I didn't know that. Never mind.
We in our D&D game that we're running, we just are in our Friday night D&D game on here. Hopefully you'll watch it. Reign of Emeries every Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Is this this new death save mechanic. So in D&D, you go down, you get hit and have no more hit points. You start bleeding out. You roll a d20. You need to get a 10 or higher 3 times. Not consecutively, but before you fail 3 times. Basically, if you get 3 wins, you are fine. If you get 3 fails, you're dead, or something else happens, depending on the DM. This actually causes a problem in the game because the player is in charge of this. And this can be a good thing, but what it means is that a player, for example, we're in a big fight, my character goes down, Kel is playing the healer, and I'm like, okay, I've got one good, I passed 1 death save. You know that I have 3 rounds of combat before I am dead. So why would, maybe it's a smart idea to heal me now, but if the monster's almost dead, what are you going to do? Are you going to heal me or are you going to hit them? Right? So what we've done is, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, though they could roll, I believe it's a mechanic, I haven't played a lot of 5e, but
this one,
where if you roll a natural 1, you lose 2 death saves. So
Yes.
if you have 1 already that you've lost, you have to make the decision of, do I risk that natural 1, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we had that almost happen the other night with Robin's character in Rime of the Frost Maiden, Monday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific. Sorry, I just love plugging. We had 2 friendly NPCs die in those games, and I think part of it was that people knew what their death saves were looking like. I don't think that it was conscious. I don't think the players were being malicious or selfish. I think that they were just trying to think strategically. And so what we've done is we put it to a vote. And by the way, guys, always put things that change the core mechanics of the game to a vote unless it is something that you will not run the game without it changing. Right? If your house rule, but tell people in advance. For example, if you allow re-rolls on high dice, like a lot of games that use d10s, if you roll a 10, you get to roll it again to see if you get another success, another win. That actually isn't a core mechanic of many of those games, even though you think it is. It's one that DMs have or storytellers in those cases have adapted because they make the game more fun and more chaotic, more volatile. But make sure people know that, because if they don't know the rules, they can't have fun. So we put it to a vote, and everybody decided that I roll for everyone's death saves now. And they will maybe die if you don't help them, and you don't know, which is much scarier. And Jen, also, if an enemy or if a person is down and they are struck, it automatically is a critical hit, which also means 2 failed death saves. So I have a lot of enemies now, now that the characters are higher level, that, like, they grapple. Oh, the character's unconscious. Cool, I'm gonna slam its head against the ground. Boom, character takes 2 death saves. I probably won't do that last death save, but I'm gonna put them in a position where the characters feel anxiety for them, and they try to help, So yeah, what's something else? What are we talking about?
I think someone briefly mentioned too, but I kind of want to talk a bit more about like the checking, trying to check as much stuff at the door, and then also that coming out of game too. Like for example, that one episode of Rime when we basically at the end we didn't know if we were going to be a party after that. Like we all got pissed and like had fights with each other, but at the end of it, it was like, it was one of those ones where we wish we could hug each other kind of thing, but always kind of try and like separate those moments as a player, because again, you don't want it to bash onto your friendships and the stress of the DM as well, is that and try not to bring that stuff into the game as well. If you're feeling a bit like you've had a bad day, like I usually try and say, hey, I have had a bad day at work today, I'm gonna try not to bring it into game, but if you find I'm a bit like angsty, it's I'm trying to check it at the door, but I just FYI, it's not towards anyone, it's my own stuff I'm dealing with. So again, kind of keeping that.
Otheon in the chat actually brings us up. The technical term for this in gaming circles is something called bleed. And it is what it sounds like. You are bleeding emotions one way or the other. It can come in-game to out-of-game, and there are a couple of ways that this can really affect your life. One is somebody does something in a game that hurts your feelings or pisses you off. You start letting that poison your relationship. Other times, you can come in after a bad day of work. Other times, depending on what your game does, you could have a character in game who lies to you a lot and you start distrusting the person. Alternatively, if your game has romantic relationships, you could develop a crush on the person, or if you have a crush on the person already and go in and suddenly your characters are crushing on each other, that can get real awkward for people fast if you don't mind that. So maybe don't go into a game where you're supposed to be playing someone nice and kind and sweet, having a bad day at work, and then listening to heavy metal or like just some deathcore the entire way there. And like maybe take a few minutes before game, like do a little bit of exercise if you can. Like if you're a person who's able-bodied enough to do like 5-10 push-ups and some squats or something like that, you'd be surprised how much that helps you. Like if you can do any type of muscular exertion, I know I'm telling gamers to work out, but like if you have the opportunity and ability to do so, like
it totally works.
Your body will help you.
I always get home from work with a headache. Like 10, maybe 20 push-ups in like sets of 10 or even less. Just anything to kind of get you a little bit warmer and get your blood flow going. And then honestly, I listen to like musicals and sing along while I'm getting ready.
That's true.
I have different playlists for my characters to kind of get in their mindset.
Jen, you have your hand raised?
I was gonna say in terms of gamers and exercise. I mean, Nintendo just put out the Ring Adventure for the Switch, so if you have $100, spend on that.
Oh God.
yeah.
Well, there's Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, but I've heard it's good. So.
Well, and there's also that role playing game where there's a role playing version of D&D where to win a challenge you have to beat the DM in a physical activity, like you have to out push up them or out sit up them or arm wrestle them or something like that, and like the DM chooses the difficulty based on the action. So that one could be fun.
That's funny.
Only if you're capable though. Like some people can't do push-ups or don't have arms.
I'd rather risk the dice.
Yeah, because you've got bad joints, or else you would die.
I've got bad body.
You've got bad body,
same.
but pretty face, especially with that blue makeup. It's so nice.
Take 5 minutes to center yourself. Just a short breathing exercise that feel that you're grounded. Notice what's going on in your body. Where are you holding any tension?
Always.
A simple awareness exercise, and just like, okay, here's what's going on. Here's how I'm physically feeling. Where's that coming from? And okay, do I need to address this right now, or can I leave this and go and shift into that game mode?
I will say,
sure.
at least personally, I do use game as catharsis a lot. I mean, take last werewolf game for example.
Make sure your runner knows this.
Yes. Kelly knows me very, very well, and also I usually will come into game like if I'm actually having a bad day, where I'm like, hey guys, I'm dealing with some shit, so I might be working some of that out through game. But at least like with Amy, we know each other very well, and also talked a lot off camera of like, our characters are really super pissed at each other right now. This is gonna come to a head soon, isn't it?
And then we had a good
and then I fully cried on camera, so
And that's fine. That's what people sign up for. It's that type of game. We're going to talk about this kind of stuff a whole bunch tomorrow in our mature themes, consent, and inclusion workshop, which if it's not something that you practice in your games, might sound kind of like, oh, that's really millennial. It's really like, it's really snowflakey type of thing. I guarantee there are parts of it that are really good because it allows you to go way harder on things if you know that you're not going to push the limits too far. If you have a blanket rule at the table of we do not allow certain themes, like we don't allow sexism, cool, then you know what not to do. Or we don't allow homophobia or something like that. Or if we do, it's only in these circumstances. Right? And it allows you to go way harder. For if you're a player, getting to know what you can experience. I have a player who used to play with us a lot who had a thing about bugs. They could not stand anything with bugs and skin. They had a really bad experience on a vacation or while working or something like that, where they got a parasite, and they just could not handle it after that. Right? It's super gross. But the person said, like, we were going into an Egyptian setting, and you've seen The Mummy, the scarabs under the skin is a thing, and they're just like, I can't deal with that. Like, if you do that, I'm going to have to like go outside and like leave for a few minutes because it's that much of an issue for me. So you just don't do it. I had a friend who had arachnophobia. I didn't have any spiders attack him. You know, you pick something spider adjacent. If you wanted to do a spider, then it's a giant, I don't know, beetle. He wasn't afraid of beetles.
Well, and for like, say, me, I can watch like the weird ass bone breaking that the Harley Quinn movie did, where it's very obviously broken in the wrong way. But I cannot handle fingernail stuff.
Sorry about
that.
Sorry about that. I can't either. I still bring it up when I wanna make myself feel gross. I bring it up.
I honestly feel almost like I'll puke.
Yeah.
It's just certain things
know
won't
your
bug some
limits.
people, and it
Know
will
your
totally
limits.
bug somebody else.
And have a conversation with your runner about them if you are doing any type of horror setting particularly, or certain action settings, or I mean it's a little easier. Most D&D doesn't go into that kind of stuff, but a lot of other game systems that have slightly more, and I mean mature themes as in more adult content rather, like the game's plenty mature.
As a player, it's knowing yourself and what you can handle. And there's no shame in telling somebody in advance, like, hey, just so you're aware, I won't handle this well. So please don't do it.
Say it like that. You just be like, I'm not into talking about that. Like, I'm not that. And there are 2 techniques that are super easy for this that anybody can do that don't even have to, like, if I don't know why people have issues with the word consent, but if you do, you can bypass that with this. And it's 2 techniques. One's called the black card or blackout. You get a piece of paper, a token, something like that represents your nope moment. All you have to do is go...
You got the noptopus.
You just raise it or touch it if it's in the center of the table. That's it. Then you just fade out. If it's something you can't handle right now, like if you're running a deep drama story and your dad just died of cancer last month and you start touching on cancer issues, you might not know until that moment that you can't handle that. You might have even gone into that game going, hey Jen, thanks for running this game. I'm totally fine. Go nuts. And then Jen starts talking about IV drips and you just start crying. And you don't know why. I mean, you know why, but you don't know why you can't handle it as well as you were prepared to because emotions and brains are weird. All you have to do is hold that up or tap it. Or an even better version of this is the red, yellow, green card system. And this is a verbal or non-verbal if you have cards for each player. All you do is at a moment where something is at a crucial juncture. This is particularly good if you play a game that has any sexual narrative content as well, or any type of more like disturbing elements. If you use the green card as a response, you can say like, all right, so my character starts flirting with your character. Do you want to role play this a little? Like obviously, people think weird things about role-playing romance in games, I think they think it all goes to LARP immediately rather than just like awkward flirting between friends and then fading to black, which is what it really is. It's just joking around and playing pretend. But if you hold up a green card, touch a green card, say green light, then you just have fun. If you do yellow light, then it's...
You gotta say green light in a sexy voice, though.
Oh,
green light.
Yes,
green light. Also, hello, Raid. Good to see you
Raid.
from the MacLeod Tales. So if you do yellow light means, hey, I don't want to stop the scene. Maybe we can kind of shift this a little. Like, I don't like the direction we're going. Let's slow down, but let's not stop. And then red light is pretty obvious. It's not into it. Sorry. And you can just say that, or you can communicate it in a different way. Holding up a card is a really easy way to do it, depending on what type of game you run. I know a lot of you just run Dungeons and Dragons. Most Dungeons and Dragons probably isn't going to cause any of those issues, depending on what you do, right? Unless you're using something from the Book of Vile Darkness, most of it's pretty PG-13. But if you're running like The Witcher, which is like on my couch right now, like if you're running the Witcher role-playing game, there's all sorts of bad stuff. I have a copy of a game of Song of Ice and Fire role-playing game over there. I guarantee we had that system in because I'm like, hey, 2/3 of my game is female in a George R.R. Martin universe. This might cause some problems. What's everybody in for?
Problematic.
Because we were running it on stream, and I will not run that game on stream because I don't want to be the guy to lean in on that kind of content. But we had this conversation where it's like, hey guys, what are you, or I guess not guys in that case, it's kind of a general, but like, hey people, what are you available to play? Like, I almost said a euphemism by accident there, but how like what can we do? And we have very clear yes and no boundaries for when things start getting heated. And I think
it's honestly easier to let the DM fade to black, and you just having had like the lead up hint, and then fade to black, because then your imagination fills it in.
Yep, we had
and it can be however
your imagination is far more exciting than whatever
or
we're gonna
upsetting
do
or exciting or whatever that you are able to handle and you are okay with, because it's your imagination.
Now, after a fade to black, if a fade to black is called, just let the player move on. After game, if it's relevant, you can say, hey, do you want to talk about real quick, just like vague point form what happened, like in that scene? That's pretty good. I still am not 100% sure if Tia slept with the Marquis.
That's for Tia to know and y'all to find out.
Well, I don't know, it's been a few months. I should probably make Tia do some check. Have a dragon baby. You create your own Pharaoh.
It's like in that sort of situation, like, you don't have to, just because you rolled to seduce the Goliath as a bard, you don't have to act it out.
Yeah, it's not.
Like,
Yeah.
You don't
we're
have
not
to talk about the whole process. You seduced them, and you went off to their room with them. We can fade to black there, and everybody will just fill in the blanks.
Okay, so some other good PC things. If you're the bard, don't seduce everybody. If you're the cleric, do seduce a couple of people just to throw them off. Ditto paladin. Okay, a player paladin is
then
great.
there's the druid.
How about play some Dead by Daylight? Is that what you're talking about?
DBD?
DBD?
Do you mean DND?
Maybe D&D.
I'm confused.
The N is next to
D
the...
and N are right next to each other.
It's true.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
So, don't do that. Don't
Play against type.
Yeah,
Yes.
you'll get some of your best characters that way.
Oh, it is Dead by Daylight. Okay.
I mean, definitely enjoy like the type of character you enjoy playing. Like, don't necessarily play something that you think you're gonna hate, but try and stretch your boundaries a little bit with trying different stuff. I used to just play like barbarian fighter types because I was just like, great axe smash. But I'm finding casters are a lot more fun because there's more variety in what I can do besides introduce great axe to head.
We have a friend in our group who's been playing role-playing games with us for a very long time, and he also, hello everybody in the chat, good to see you. He normally plays 3 types of character, maybe 2. Salt of the
I
earth,
know who we're talking about.
salt of the earth, good guys who are usually crafty or good with their hands. And you guys know who I'm talking about. So, like, what's another trait? So, good with their hands, like a handyman, a carpenter, a Mr. Fix-It, a former soldier who now works as a handyman. Like, those type of, like, someone who likes to fix things. This person never plays anybody who is white collar. Never plays anybody who is a like a retail worker or someone who's like not even blue collar, but like seasonal or part-time work or anything like that. And a lot of our games are in like kind of modern eras. So I always challenge him to play things that he would not want to play. Like the time I was like, do you want to be an ex-porn actor who now is a volunteer firefighter who might be getting into city politics? And that was the best.
Amazing.
That was the best character he's ever played.
Character.
He's a
The
dude
shopping
who
trip was amazing.
he got really in shape and accidentally followed a friend to an audition for an adult film and ended up getting a job for a while. And that was just in his background, and he ended up becoming a politician in Chicago, and it was great. It was great because that was completely not him. So he was able to get further away from himself. You know, I
think he tended to play the kind of bit more bluff and hardy types in D&D too, and when we convinced him not to, that is the most iconic character.
You talking about the goblin?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so happy with that.
I love
I'm
that goblin. It's just
I think
fantastic.
my ex, actually, when we used to play a lot of World of Darkness games, the best character that she ever played was this very, very religious, like this Christian high school girl.
I loved her.
This ex was a staunch atheist.
Oh yeah.
But she studied and learned it. It actually reinforced her atheism at the end of it. She definitely, she was like, yep, believe this 100%, or don't believe this 100%, I guess I should say. But she could definitely win some arguments on theology after that.
Yeah.
And she researched it and like played it to the hilt in a way that wasn't making, like it was, I mean, you know who I'm talking about, Jen. Like Holly was very much like, I see where you're coming from and I can play this respectfully.
Yeah.
Because I understand why you feel this way, but God, I don't agree with it.
Yes. Absolutely.
And like I bring that up just because it was such a polarizing thing, and you really getting out of your safe zone is really helpful.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm agreeing with Chad here too. Like stepping out of your like your comfort zone and playing characters that you might not think are your type of character.
I think Robin had a point.
oh, did
Yeah,
you,
I was
Robin?
saying
Oh,
that
sorry.
could all be. That's fine. I was saying that could all be summed up to, like, be able to take suggestions from your DM too. Like, if the DM is saying, "Hey, maybe you want to try this out," or "Hey, have you had a look at this class for your next character?" They're doing that because they think that you might be able to do something fun and interesting or something that's different. And I said,
Oh yeah.
Listen to your DM because it's, they're wanting the best experience as well. So I'd say
And
be
make it
open
easy
to
for 'em.
flexible.
Well, and
And I
case in
mean-
point, when you challenged Mike to, Mike, I want you to play a happy-go-lucky ogre, he was just like, what? And 2 hours later, the character existed. He had a voice, he had a style, and now
so damn
Well,
good.
now Michael
and now
won't
he's one of the
play
most
unless
beloved characters ever.
unless I tell
Sylvester.
Michael will not create a character now unless I tell him what to play, because he's like,
It's kind of fun. I mean,
It's kinda
Funny 'cause
good.
The previous
Challenge
character
for
was
him.
just so withdrawn and intense, and the dark, brooding one in the corner sort of thing. And then all of a sudden, it was Sylvester,
yes.
and I was just like,
And
So that's
it's
the sense
just
for
such
us.
a fun.
"Oh, what now?"
Yeah. I'm just like characters that are like listening to not only your DM but other players too, like what they may suggest. Things that, especially if they're people you've played with before, who'd be like, "Hey, I've never seen you do this before. Maybe give this a shot."
Yeah. Yeah.
Try to even challenge yourself. Like,
I mean, for me, that was how Lillian came about, because
Lillian was your
my
super
first-
socialite.
my first character for a LARP was an NWO agent, which is basically
A man in
think
black.
FBI, CIA, magic type. So the black suit, gun-toting, kick your ass Sarah Connor chick.
she was great.
But I was entirely like physicals there, and that was great. That was my comfort zone. I played barbarian, I played fighter, and then I played this chick. But then after that, Kelly was like, "You should try and branch out for the next game. Try something different.
It's funny
Don't do the
because she
same
was
thing."
part tree.
Yeah.
No, she was part flower.
Same thing.
Yes, she's definitely.
So I ended up playing a fairest flowering in like the Changeling game, which is like a sparkly, pretty like type. And she was basically a socialite. She was an
I
Instagram
played-
It
influencer
was such a
socialite.
fun. It was such a fun game for everybody because all those characters were so interesting, and
loved
we all
playing
got
Sophie.
to interact differently. Yeah. Oh, Sophie was just great.
Sophie was-
Oh god.
So I will say the chat brought up one of the people in the chat said that they normally play the most random race and most random class possible when they play D&D. So I'm thinking that you're talking about like you want to play like a Kenku bard or something like that, or like a kobold wizard, or maybe like something really weird, right?
Well, I mean, I was gonna say in the Extra Life one shot, I played a goblin barbarian because I was like, I want to be a barbarian, and then also not not normal type barbarian.
I just you talk with your DM and you make it work. Make sure that's the type of game they want to run, and build a person, not a sheet.
Yeah, and also think about party composition when you're making characters. If other people have already decided on characters, or they're really set, like I'm going to use another game I play in as an example. I played the kind of social rogue type character. We're starting a new game. I'm like, I want to play something fighty because I wasn't in the last game. And so, yeah, it's like, I wanted that and I made that. We actually have a significant amount of at least combat ability, but no one's built like I am.
Mhm.
So kind of getting that balance is good to at least think about, but make sure you're doing what you want as well.
So, and also,
like, as much as like don't build just your character sheet, build a character, but also take into account, like, if you are a fighter of some sort, maybe make sure you have enough stat in one of the relevant skills that you are capable, because if you're not capable, you are going to have a bad time when you can't do shit all.
Gonna be a terrible fighter.
I mean, if you want to make a joke character,
unless
that's
your
fine,
unless
I guess.
that's
you're
your
like
type.
Definitely trying to do a joke where they're actually trying to become a bard and you're about to start multi-classing them. They're a failed fighter becoming a bard. That's cool then. But
yeah, that could
Again,
work.
communicate with the DM, and is like, is that the, if it's gonna be a one shot, make whatever the hell you want and go have fun, or is it gonna be a long running campaign and at some point you're not gonna enjoy always having a shitty roll because you're gonna get tired of that.
Then there's also figuring out, like, if when you roll up your stats and they're very middle ground, figuring out how to make that work is also can be a challenge. Like, my character Lucky Sixpence was born from a very terrible set of rolls where my highest stat was like a 16 and I got a +2 because of my class or racial thing.
It was because you were a tabaxi, so you got higher dex, I think.
Yeah, I think it was because I was tabaxi. But yeah, that was my highest stat. My lowest stat is a 7. I have a -2 on anything int-related. Lucky is dumb as the brick, but she's cute as a brick.
Lucky is such a great character though, because you take those stats and Lucky has become this really interesting individual who doesn't always get people's names right, but absolutely has the best heart and is the most honest. You know,
This is true.
Lucky is honest because there is no possibility that she could lie.
And that's
she
really
couldn't lie to save her life.
No, go ahead, Jen.
Oh, I was just gonna say, don't be afraid to lean into those bad stat rolls, those things that your character is not good at. It's
You're not
okay
perfect.
to be not good at things.
Yeah.
It's in fact often more
and, like,
interesting.
Amy
I
does it
still
really,
try-
really well
Yes.
with the stupid, because the worst thing would be if you did bad stupid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bad
and
stupid
that's
is
the
awful.
bad- I have to
Stupid
be
is
careful with.
frustrating.
Yeah, because I don't, and it's one of those things that I'm always trying to be careful about with Lucky, because I like playing her and people seem to really enjoy when I play her, but I know that there is a line that I could very easily cross to take her into a very unfun place that would make things more difficult for everybody around me. So leading into, I like still trying to do the stuff other characters are doing, like making investigation rolls, and then absolutely terrible at them because she's got a -2 on everything. Like if I roll a 2, she's got a 0. Right? Like, she ain't gonna find something. She might find something completely irrelevant.
But that's part of the fun of it, is I can give you the weirdest shit, and I'd be like, oh, cool, you find a mouse.
Yeah.
He's your friend
so,
now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I think that's sort of like, for in terms of player habits, like, good player behavior, I like to think, is that I've communicated with the other players and with the DM that this is gonna be a thing. How can we make it fun and interesting for everybody?
Okay, so
Well,
what else?
That's the big thing, I think, is that being aware that you're affecting everybody else around you.
Yeah.
So, play up a part of your character, but try not... Basically, don't be a dick.
Don't
Don't
be
be
a
a
dick.
dick.
Also, I think one of the best pieces of advice that Kelly gave me when I was first getting ready to start streaming Rhyme for the first time, and I was nervous as all hell, was Kelly's like, don't be afraid to get uncomfortable for doing things for your character, and finding that nice balance of again finding that the zones, and finding is this uncomfortable just because I'm pushing the boundaries of my own personality. I think that's a great way to be get a different character, a different role play, and a different experience. Is just don't be afraid to do something that's out there for yourself. I think that's really helps with the general role playing. I found personally starting this stuff.
Well, and the thing about role playing is that it can allow you to do a lot of things that you might not have considered before. And this can mean a lot of things. Like a lot of people find out a lot of things about themselves and what they love and how they like to experience the world through role playing. Like a shy person might find that they're actually a lot wittier than they thought they were because they're allowed to open up around friends and build confidence that they can bring to the real world. Or you know, people explore all sorts of moral issues or gender issues, sexual issues, like any type of personality issues. Like I've seen it all in the last 20 years. It's been ridiculous. Like the amount of character growth that the players have had. Not the
Yeah.
Yeah. Like playing Mal in the LARP made me a way more confident person. She was a
Mal.
toxic
Mal
person.
Was such a Mal was a great character though.
She was so toxic
all of
and
our
like
technocracy
yeah.
characters.
she was not in a
Not
good
okay.
place. She was not okay.
Not
But-
happy.
But yeah.
But
Well-
she had leadership ability and this confidence that she probably maybe shouldn't have had because she made terrible decisions. But playing that really kind of leaked more into my life, which was nice.
Well, and
I like
then
that.
you look at people like Christine, for example. Anybody who has seen Christine play in any of these games, particularly things like Rime of the Frost Maiden, where she plays Callie Thornhill, might not imagine that when Christine first met this group.
Druid.
I know, but you were like the shyest, like you were an incredibly shy, introverted person back then. And
Oh, yeah.
you know, all it did was
quiet.
putting you in a position of authority. And you're still a quieter person, but you're not a quiet person anymore.
Yeah, like, I mean, what, 6 years ago, I would have never even contemplated having my own streaming channel. Like, having somebody else watch me and have video of me on the internet? No thank you.
It's scary.
It's weird. It's
But-
weird being out there.
Yeah,
think
no,
that
it
changes
definitely,
here.
I am far more willing to just talk.
And just
Part of that is college, though. Part of that is I was in university at that point, so I was still going through that period of learning that.
Mhm.
Part of that
is college, though. Part of that is I
Whoa, who's got volume on?
Who's got
Kelly.
audio?
No one? No one? Someone get...
Nobody.
You're not
Nobody.
allowed to do that. No.
Christine, it was such an
Oh.
important thing to hear.
Abort,
that you
abort.
had to
You're
hear twice.
myself, say it.
There you go. Sorry.
Be engaged with what's happening.
Someone gave me an extra life donation, so I was
Your
seeing what it...
tabs.
Aw.
I was doing it on my phone,
No.
so I was trying to see. Sorry about that.
Nice.
Sorry about that. Don't be me. Don't be me. Do as I say, not as I do.
I mean, I would also say though, with this, because we're coming towards the end of this panel, is that a lot of our experiences right now, at least, are based on our group, and we do have a good group. We are all good friends, and we don't have a ton of personality clashes. So if you do end up in a group where you're not good friends or something, you're just a group because it's all you got for playing D&D, there is more of, you're gonna have to negotiate stuff a lot more. You might not trust each other very much or want to share much, and you have to make your decision then of like how willing you want to be to put up with stuff just to play. At least now, a lot more of it is you can get more groups online,
Yeah.
so you have a bit more access.
Actually,
And you can build communities
You
better.
can find a new group.
speaking
If you're
of
not
which, there's
having
a
fun with your group, find a
there's a-
new group.
great place to find a group, and it's right there in our chat right now, our Discord. We do have a looking for group page. That's not for things that are going to be streaming on the channel, but we do have a lot of people who do run games who are around and might want to run a game for you, or you might want to run a game for them. So join our Discord. It's a good community, and at the very least, you get to see pictures of our dog, which
As
and
much
I-
as being a good player is like all the things we've talked about to like not screw over your GM or fellow players, you also have to be ready to tell people like your DM, they might not be a very good DM, but they might be the only person willing to run, of like, hey, I'm not okay with this, or not okay with how you're acting, like you're screwing me over or something. Like you
Okay.
have to be willing and ready to say that too.
be okay. So be kind to your DM. Okay, that's the number one thing I want. Good. Okay, we were running this panel or version of this panel, like how to be a game master. Oh, you guys are remembering this. I ran this last year at SakinoCon, and it was either last year or the year before at SakinoCon in Victoria, and there were these kids. They were like between 16 and 19. I can't tell. They're baby faced, but it was one of the players who was that player. You know, the like very loud, very opinionated, and then the DM who was a very quiet, kind of meeker guy, you know.
Yeah.
And the loud player would just ask questions about DMing and constantly be like, "See, you did it wrong." During the panel, and I just kept getting madder and madder, and like this dude is running your game for you. Shut up.
Yeah. Don't be that person.
Don't
Like-
be
Also,
that
like,
guy.
If a DM makes a rules call, they're God.
Yeah.
You can maybe speak afterwards about, hey, maybe this call you made kind of, this is how I felt about it. Like, that's a private conversation matter. Don't like derail and hold up game arguing about rules. If the DM makes a call, it's the DM. It's their job to do the story.
Yeah.
It's they make the rules. Listen and continue on. If you want to bring that up privately after game, then do that and have that conversation. But don't stop for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
talk about
There's
that.
there's no real, I'm gonna say, wrong way to DM a game as long as people are having fun.
Mhm.
And but don't be the person who thinks having fun is being right all the time.
Yeah.
Yes,
Totally.
and we all have played with those people. And
But
it's
definitely like seek outside, like seek quieter ways to resolve stuff first. But be aware, like the toxic person who's a player can also be the toxic person being the DM, and you do have to be ready and willing to call them on it.
you know,
Just
be,
don't be a dick. Is like, can't emphasize that enough. Just don't do it.
Bong
Don't
Master
be an
just
ass.
pointed out.
Think how you would feel in that situation if somebody did what you're planning to do.
Or
You.
maybe think of how they might feel if you know them better than you know yourself. Because there are people who'd be like, I'd be fine with getting stabbed in the eyeballs. You're like, well, are you sure
you
that
would.
Glim Glam the gnome would? Glim Glam likes his eyes.
They help him see.
See friends with knives.
See, now I'm imagining a gnome named Glimglab that holds that has like a jar of eyeballs.
Yeah, don't stab the jar of eyes.
I love my eyeballs.
I want to play that character now.
It's my grandmother's.
Please do.
That's my next D&D character. If Kelly ever gets me into a D&D game, I'm claiming that.
Okay, Glim Glam the gnome.
Glam the
Okay,
gnome.
Yes.
Copyright.
Glim Glam.
Copyright.
Who has a jar of eyeballs? Yes.
A jar of
I love
eyeballs.
this.
Are they real eyeballs or like glass eyes, or is it just kind of a mix?
It's like
a
the
mix.
Warlock Patreon.
Oh, it's a
right?
mix. It's a party. It's a sampler pack, really.
Yeah.
Got some blue ones
God
and some red
damn
ones
it.
and some green ones.
I love this.
This is awful. Okay, so we got about 5 minutes before I've got to go back out, and then
Be
we're going
ready
be
to
doing.
brainstorm.
Oh God, no! Brainstorm's my character, who has a bunch of brains in a sack.
What?
His name's Brainstorm. He's an orc, and or maybe it's Brian Storm. I don't know.
Brian.
Anyway,
Oh my God.
Brian song.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I'm glad, Chef. Like, as far as players, just be nice to each other, dude. And I will say, this is gonna be my one takeaway. Campaigns take a lot of work. Chronicles, campaigns, whatever you want to call them. Long-running games take a whole lot of work. Sorry, I'm trying to swear less on the channel.
A cursingly large amount of work.
A cursingly large amount of work.
Yes.
When it's done, thank them. If you had fun, let them know. Talk about the game. Keep it alive. Have fun with it. Run. Oh, the dog wants to go out? Okay.
We can hear it.
Oh, always show the puppy on stream.
Also,
Always show the puppy.
Always show your pets.
Always show your pet.
Show your pets. We all
So-
love your pets.
So,
One last thing I can show. Sylvester Slays got challenged in the chat, and we now have. Oh, I'm gonna have to turn off my
do we have a killer pickle?
my green screen here.
Is this
What is going on?
from the earlier
Hang on.
chat
I
conversation?
think so.
Yes,
What did
serial killer pickles.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike doesn't have Instagram, so I'll be uploading it to.
Okay,
his
sounds good. I guess
Amazing.
technically, if you tag, so we have an art contest right now. So if you tag
Contest.
Dork X, or sorry, yeah,
Art?
Dork X
Yep.
Art 2021, and any art, particularly art of the channel, is preferred, but it won't help you like win or lose either way. But it'll help. Guys, I ran a game once that it was my first live action game, which I run very similarly to a tabletop game, just with more costuming. So these days, it's the exact same thing, but with less chairs. At the end of the game, we ran for 15 months, and it was a really great experience for everybody as far as I knew. And at the end of it, the players got me a thank you card. This was about 14 years ago. I still have that card right over there in a drawer for safekeeping. Because it meant that what I did mattered. I hate cards, by the way. I hate birthday cards. I hate cards that are perfunctorily given. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Birthday. I don't like them. I think that they're just a waste of paper. I love them. You love them. Yeah, I know. I think that it's a waste of paper. Give me the $20 that's inside Grandma and call it a day. Yeah. But something like, for some reason, that actually mattered. I think they gave me a cake too, or some dice as a present or something like that. I actually forget, but for some reason, then they didn't just sign it. They all left a personal message on the inside. And it's like 15 people, right? It was a big deal. And stuff like that actually does matter. Little tokens of friendship and love really matter. And that sounds mushy, but you're friends and you're telling a story together. And how often do you get to tell stories where you get to be a hero or get to live outside of yourself? And there's a lot of magic in it. So, you know, friendship and all that. Mm-hmm. Sorry for the inadvertent.
So he keeps kind of leaning down to get neck scritches, comes up to look at me, and then headbutts me again.
Always make a dice cake.
Dice cake.
Yeah, and also quick tip: don't run 15 games at once. But that's for the DM self-care
unless you're
panel.
crazy.
That's the self-care panel.
I'm not crazy. I'm mad at you.
You're not crazy. You're just ADD.
I'm just ADD, just super ADD. All right, so folks, that is going to be the end of this panel. We're going to be away for about 15 minutes, so that I can about 10 minutes, I guess, so I can pee. And then we're going to be back with Dork Tales and Chill. Dork Tales and Chill is just going to be a panel where we chat with each other and with you. And there's going to be like 8 or 9 of us.
Doggo.
The dog might be there.
Dog is always
should be there.
So glad you had fun, Crimson Art.
Questions for Charlie. Make sure you have questions.
Yes.
Are you a good boy?
Bring your questions
Are
for
you a
Charlie.
good boy?
boy? Are you? He's kind of looking like, huh?
Okay. So if you are if you're enjoying this content, give us a follow. I'd love it if you could give us a subscription over on YouTube as well, youtube.com/dorktales. If you got some extra money, I will never say no to a subscription on Twitch, but I would rather you give it to our Extra Life, which is 100% tax deductible if you live in North America. It might be outside North America, but I can't guarantee that. And all of the money goes to kids. So, yeah, like we don't get any of this money. I will happily take your money, but not today. Not today. It's about the kids. So we'll be right back. Thank you so much. And thank you, players, for being here with me and helping me talk about this.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Death Follow Death, it's definitely butt scratching.
It's definitely butt scratches. And on that, we'll see you in a minute.